I live in Los Angeles, and last night I was finishing with a client. It was about 7 o'clock or so, and I smelled smoke. And that was really unusual because that's never happened for me. There have never been fires near me. And then my niece sent me a video showing a vid from my street actually about a fire, and the fire was in the hills. And I went outside and I stood there for a moment and I thought, this is interesting. There was chaos everywhere. People were trying to leave and they were trying to evacuate in our place, and everyone was moving. And I'm thinking, what is that about? There's a lot of fear here. And I thought, what am I supposed to do? And I went and I thought about it for a while, and I stayed there and I said, I'm safe. I'm going to go back in now and be the anchor for bringing something different to the world. And then I thought maybe I should look at the message I was given in 2012 on that date, which was January the 8th, and I'll read it to you because then I'll explain it, because that also gives me the opportunity to tell you why I did what I did the other night, because I didn't understand. I didn't know why I was doing it. What I did was I was guided to put something together that said, now you can change your life and world, because you do both. That's why we're born. We're born to come in to change. That's how we evolve and grow to become who we're meant to be. But then as we do that, we're affecting what happens in our world. But we have a bigger responsibility right now because the world is moving through a greater change. And I happen to know that. But sometimes we hold back. But when you're looking at a fire where you're thinking, is this going to get me this time? See, because I had been through two of them. And I thought, well, is it the third one? Is the third one where I actually die? You have that thought. I knew that wasn't going to occur, but it does cause you to move. A lot of times we don't do anything until we become a little afraid. We don't start to own ourselves or take that next big step in our life. And so when I saw that, I understood why I did that message the other night, why I was guided that, because I wanted you to understand how important you are. I wanted you to understand what was happening in the world and why you are an integral part of causing it to become great when you decide to become your greatest self. And that's why I wanted to give you this today. But let me read you the message that came through in 2012, because it will help you. It will help you no matter what's happening in your life in any time, because it's about how do you control your thinking? How do you control your mind? How do you become more empowered? How do you become more confident? It's day by day, and as you become willing to do it. But this message will give you a little help today, because it was probably challenging for a lot of people, no matter where you might have lived, because the energies that are shifting in our world are happening everywhere, not just in one place. But this was the message that came through. And you've had these situations in your life, and you'll understand it. Your initial reaction of panic to any situation, circumstance, or event that shows up in your physical life experience is an indication that you are still moving to a place of completely trusting the integrity of your journey. Developing that very trust is also another way of looking at the expansion you sought. When you are able to feel your own safety, you also acknowledge the true nature of your being, and you understand that it is not possible for anything to go wrong. Each and every one of your personal experiences shows up in order that you might gain something. What you always do gain is continued wisdom, knowledge, and awareness. Wilhelm. Now, I did that every single day starting in 1989. And that's what I'm going to tell you, because you can do the same thing, because you have brilliance within you and you're probably being pushed to have it come through now. We move through the world and we start to understand things about how we operate and how we can create our best lives, and that happens over time. We develop techniques, we develop understandings about how our brains work, and we talk about self actualization or personal development or self growth or whatever term you want to use, or ascension as I've called it, because I know that every person is born to do something. When you come into the world, you have a gift you're meant to develop. It's within you. And then as you do that, you give it to someone else. And then the world keeps expanding. because we don't live forever. So at some point, we have to decide that we're going to become ourselves. And that's what I'm doing today, because I'm going to explain this to you because it was challenging, and I have to give you permission to challenge yourself to see what you could create, because you came into the world to do something. And it's not going to look like anything anyone else has done, and that could cause you to have a little bit of difficulty, as it did for me, because you're meant to be unique. But most times we're worried about the judgment that we might receive from others when we're discovering who we are. And it's a process and one you go through all the time as long as you're alive. But then I discovered that there's an order to that process. There's an order to what we move through in our lives and how we can come together that's healing within us. We come into the world with little divisions. The only division is we just don't believe who we can become. That's all. And so that's the journey that we have, each person, and it's individual. But then you start to discover that it's energy that is doing it all. And then you can gain control of that. You have control of your life. And that's what I spent all of my life coming to understand and to be able to give to you, which is why I know that you can live the greatest life ever, and then what you do will change the world. We have to recognize no one's doing that but us. And so we just decide when we're going to start to do that. One of the first messages that I received from Wilhelm about this change that we're moving through in our world, because you felt it, everyone has, was that they had given me all this guidance in 2012. Now, it's been longer. I started in 1989, but there was a certain period where all the messages that came through were really helpful for what we would be moving through now, because it would be emotionally challenging. When you move through your life, it's always emotionally challenging. You discovering who you are, becoming confident, figuring out if you're on the right path, if you're doing what you came to do. How do I get rich? How do I do all of those things? And I will tell you, it's only one way. You discover who you are. That's that path to personal exploration or self-discovery. But it changes over time because the world changed. And so obviously the world needed something different, which is why I had to come in and bring something that didn't make sense to anyone, not even to me. I'm saying this because I didn't know what I had. You don't know either. And that's the beauty of life, because we get to discover that. But I will tell you this, you can achieve anything, because there's a formula. You have a brain. All you have to do is use it, and you have to understand that, oh, wait a minute, I've just been thinking something that's not right, and so I can change that, then I can do what I'm supposed to do, and then I can achieve greatness, and I can have all the success I want. That is what it is, because success, no matter what you think, it's within you. You just may have measured it in a different way, because you might not have understood your journey. See, mine might not have looked the same way to many others, because I've done so many different things, and it felt like I was lost all the time. What am I doing? And I felt that way. I felt different. I felt all of those things, and that was perfect. Because that was the only way that I could have created this work. That was the only way that I could have healed my life and pulled off miraculous things that I can now give to others. That's what happens. But I put together some things for you to have so you will understand. The first one is on my website, on the website today, anyadvicefortoday.com, and it says, now you can change your life and world. And the world, because we all do it. You start to understand that your energetic connection is injected into the world by how happy you decide to become. Really. It's the quality of the energy that you're putting into your life, which causes your life to heal. Everything that I did throughout my life about the mind-body healing was always about understanding that I was running from myself and stopping that and going in the other direction. And it was all the resistance that I had to confront, because you don't believe yourself, and I had to move through it. And then you discover, wait, something happens then, and then you come into alignment. And so I had to live a life where I could just demonstrate this, where I did crazy things that people think that's not possible, which is why I use the quote I often from Napoleon Hill, where he talked about nothing is impossible. He wouldn't accept that word. I haven't either. And that's why I could pull off these things. But I know that you can do it. What happens is we come in and we live a life and we do something, and then we can give it to others, and then they can use that and then transform. That's what happens. So I'm going to show you this. I'm just going to tell you this little story so that you get this, because I never want you to limit yourself. And I have done that because sometimes you will discover things that you think this is too much. That's what we usually do. We think we're afraid of failing. No, usually we're afraid of succeeding, because succeeding would mean we have to own ourselves. And that's a really sometimes confronting prospect, especially if it's different. But it needed to be different because our world needed to be different, and that's why I had to bring this information. Because Wilhelm said, well, the world is going to go through a great change, which it's never done before, and it's different this time because it's an energetic change. You start to understand that we are affected by the changes of the planets, and we can't see it, but that's what's affecting us emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And so then we get to decide if we're going to go with the changes and not resist what's happening and not go into fear, and then trust the integrity of our life. And that line in there, the integrity of your life journey, I had no idea why that kept coming through. But they kept saying it all the time. But it meant that each person has a journey that is valuable, that they're meant to live, and it is yours. That's all. And so when you go through these messages, it will change your brain. And then I put something else in there, a lot in there, because I wanted you to have this. I have created this brought in this philosophy again, which I didn't know, and then when I discovered it, it kind of freaked me out too. Wow, this could really change the world. And I can say that because I know that it could, because I can see the value in every single person. I developed this intuitive sense that I hid for so long because I didn't want to tell you that. That's that part that you hide from yourself. So it was a journey, but it was a valuable one now because I wrote it all down. And so I have an encyclopedia of personal development, self-actualization, and ascension tools that anyone who uses it, you heal your life, you become brilliant, you start to understand who you are, and you help change the world. Now, I know that's true. You may not believe that because I didn't believe it either. I could not believe that I was able to do these things. But then the logic of it came in. It's just neuroscience. We understand it. And if you use it, things change. It is not that we don't know what to do. It's just that we don't do it. And we don't want to look at ourselves, and that's the biggest one, that we don't want to examine ourselves because we think something's wrong with us. And that was the first message on this day that I was given in 2008, and that's what you'll have today. So let me show you these little wonderful things I put together for you. I will leave the link to this, but this message is also on my website, anyadvicefortoday.com, but I wanted you to see it here first, but you will have all of it because I'm going back to the very first message, January 9th of 2008. Now, there's alignment in the universe, and everybody's not going to get this, but I just know what I was given was a way to see the information that was aligned. You'll see that soon, okay? You have been taught that somehow you are intrinsically bad or wrong. This is a result of being raised by parents who intended to give you direction or make you a good person. You then take this information and spend much of your life trying to be this good person. The first premise is completely incorrect. And until you come to full awareness of this, you will spend your time trying to live up to the expectations of others. As you do, however, become more aware, you may place situations and many events in your life experience that may cause you to take actions or speak words you deem as bad or negative, simply so that you can come to a different decision about who you really are. You were born completely perfect, and nothing you will ever do will change it. The quotation marks are placed here so that you may also understand all terms are only relative to your understanding. Release judgment and you will experience freedom. It is your choice. Now, that message came through, as you can see, in 2008. I didn't tell anyone this was happening for years and years and years because I didn't understand why it was happening. I'm saying this because some of you will start to get into your higher self, you'll start to channel, you'll start to do other things, and information will come to you that will surprise you. I'll just everyone will not do that, but we all understand that we are only working with our consciousness. And so this is just another way of accessing consciousness to give you the life that you're supposed to have. And so as you go through each one, because it went through, I was just instructed the other day, not knowing why again, but knowing that's always aligned. And as you read this, you will see the same thing, because you will come out of it different. You will come out of it more aware. You will like yourself a lot better, is what happens. Okay, see, because it's all about you understanding how important you are, and that's an individual journey that we each take. I was just given my life path was about developing something to help people find their way. That's all, the only difference. I'm still doing the same thing, and that's the other thing I want to explain, because I was talking to someone yesterday. I want you to get this. When I first put this work together, in 2021, it was really shocking to me that what I had written all these years, that I first of all didn't remember. I didn't know how much I had, and that's what you'll see in this message. I came up to this place where I realized, where I wanted to give everyone this information. I didn't know what to give you. Where do I start? Because there's so much. And then I stopped myself. Now the reason I stopped myself is because it freaked me out. How are these people changing so much? Because that's what starts to happen. And you'll see it, and you'll hear it from many others. But then I started to see I was holding back as well, because you can do that when you start to find things about yourself that surprise you. You get intimidated, but then you decide you got to move over it. And for me, at 74, I think now would be a good time. But more importantly, I just care too much about people, so I have to give you this. That's been my greater problem, because there was a time where I've been through. Many of you might have read my book, Overcoming Fear: Guide to Freedom. You might have heard some of my story. That's not even all of it. So I have been through everything, so I know what you can do. I'm not saying that because to any kind of competition. It's just that I know what is possible in human existence, because I had to develop something to get me through, and now I can give it to you. That's how this works. But I did something else, and I've done it over the last several weeks. I've put up several things where I wanted to give you some historical context, and also some science behind it. Because that's what I'm discovering, which is just kind of shocking, that I downloaded all this information, wrote it over all these years, and then I'm finding a synchronicity where messages on certain days come into alignment, and I could not understand that or believe it. But now I'm going to keep going with it, because it's kind of exciting that I've made a new discovery. You can do the same thing. And what it's doing is helping so many people, because it's getting you aligned with you. When when I was told that I was given messages for people's birthday, that didn't even make sense until it started working, and I'm working with people and seeing this is exactly who they are. Happened last night too. I'm working with a person in Australia who's going to do some marketing, because we've decided it's time now to take this to the world. And so as I'm, really speaking with her, and I was talking about this frustration that I have, I said, I have this thing and everybody can do it, but they don't understand, and I can't sell it. I'm saying I can't sell it, and you probably have heard that in a Wilhelm channeling session, because it's about energy. And it gets me really frustrated because of what I've been through when I see people not willing to take the steps to uncover how wonderful they are. And I was holding that back as well. But you'll read something else in there about a suicide that happened some 40 years ago, 45 years ago or more, when I was in Chicago, actually longer than that, where I had an employee. I left town, and the employee jumped off a building and killed himself. I had someone else who just killed himself about a month ago. And the only reason that happens is that people don't know who they are. I thought, oh, I have something that they can do that, and maybe that would change the consciousness and the culture that has existed. How could I have had something that was that valuable? And that was the problem I had, not being able to accept that. You will do the same thing. That's what we all do. And so you'll just have a guide to be able to move through it. And when you go through each one of these messages, you'll see how it just kind of changes you. But this part will be fun for you, because it'll give you more validation. You will doubt yourself. I've doubted myself forever, until I had the result that I said, okay, I can no longer do that. You'll get there. there are no limits to what we can create, achieve, or do in our lives, except we will question it, we will doubt it, and we don't understand. But that consciousness to create something has been developed over time. But still, with that, when we create something new, as I did, I had more questioning than usual. And so, having having artificial intelligence now has been really helpful for me because it can verify some of the stuff that I didn't understand. We have energetic connections that some people figure out, some astrology, you can, some people look at that. But again, even looking at astrology, it's just about the energy and understanding how it affects you. And we've all had something like that. We can get this information in different ways, different modalities, but I just thought I'd give you this because I was questioning, as we all do. And yeah, because I wonder, why did I put these together? What made me do that? Because that's that intuition, that sometimes you listen to and act on it. Well, over the years, I've acted on it quite all the time now because I know how valuable it is, and now I can see what it has given me. And I want to encourage more people to start trusting your intuition because you will see the genius, you'll discover it because it's just dormant within you. That's all. Okay, so I asked about these, and then it gave me the astrological insights for this day. But what I had done is given it the messages that I had received from Wilhelm as well, just so you would understand it. But for any of you who read this, if you're into this, you can understand a lot more about yourself or what might be happening in the world during these times. And then what I did was I went down and I found they kind of organized all the messages so you can see them, but they're all on the website. And here, the power of choice, things and their significance, the power of choice and self-belief. Your self-belief is the most important thing that you have, and you will start to discover that. Forgiveness and letting go of the past. That's the thing that we have so much trouble with because we're judging ourselves, and we have to let go of it and move forward because there's always more ahead of you. Trust in synchronicity and divine timing. That's challenging because most times we don't accept it or understand it. And me discovering that synchronicity, just as Carl Jung has talked about, took me a while to accept that I had done something similar. You could have the same difficulty or problem or actually opportunity. Embracing discomfort for expansion. You have to get out of your comfort range. Now you must understand, all of these I've written over 35 years. So there's more information here than anyone could possibly use in their lives. But what it did was it caused healing. But this is in particular, I want you to have this. What are the planets, Pluto and Mars, doing in January 2025? How might it affect us? I put that in simply because I heard it from someone else, and I wanted to know and see if Wilhelm had given me anything, and absolutely they had. And you will go here and you will find the messages that came through. And I can never explain this, and I'm going to go back and figure it out. I'm telling you, but and because that's what I'm devoting the rest of my life to, which is why I'm talking about this today. When you go there and look at the message, you will see, and I had no awareness of this at the time, that they had me put down several dates to show the continuity of information and consciousness over time. And then you'll also see that even though this date goes into a different date, because we think differently and we start moving in a new direction, you will understand that as you start to move through it. But now I'm going to show you something else that I just discovered because I don't see things. And they said, you can go to the website. I'm just telling everyone, you can go in and put in a search term and get some help, get some guidance, because the only place that we're stuck is ever in our thinking. And so there was something that came up. People think they don't have a life purpose. And so when Wilhelm says, just go to the site and put in hidden, because nothing is ever hidden from us. We just don't want to look at it. That's all. And so I did that. It was kind of fascinating. And you can do it on pretty much anything and just see what comes up for you. And you'll probably get a lot of messages that will give you some understanding. Your life purpose is never hidden. Your conflicts are no longer hidden. Here's a Christmas and holiday greeting you wanted to receive, and you will love that one. We told you why you are alive now. None of you believed, and nothing in your life or world has gone wrong. You will believe in yourself today. Now you have everything you need. it can. This is a long one because I guess because most of us think things are hidden, and they never are. We have guidance, we just don't always trust it, and it's a process of moving through the restrictions so that you believe yourself. That's all that happens. I'm so happy I could give this to you today and understand that we will move through some more energetic changes, but they're going to be beneficial because they're here to help you become your best self. No matter what you have thought about that, I know it's true, and that's what I'm going to continue on because I'm discovering so much, and I've hidden myself too, just as you have, but that's a good thing when we understand that now we can change it. That's why that that message, now you can change your life and the world, yeah, we can. We just have to have the belief. You have something within you. The thing that is so wonderful for me when I'm working with people is being able to see that, even though you can't. We never really fully see ourselves. But when I'm channeling or doing Wilhelm, I can see everything about you. And that's where this information came from, which is why it's so effective. And now what I'm doing, it's available for everyone. I want you to understand that. We're adding so much more. That's what my special offer is. But now what happens is I decide I want everyone to be able to do this all over the world, and that's the marketing we're going to start doing. Because what happens is you start to understand your worth and value, you start to live better, and that turns into a much better world, not just for you, but for everyone. And that's what I'm doing. Believing that was challenging, just as believing your greatness will be challenging because it's always something in front of you, but you can do it. This work will help you. Please check out everything in the work and the site and the videos and the whole bit, but I'll leave this for you. You were born to be brilliant. See you soon.